When Jake accidentally saw a message on his wife Emily's phone from a coworker, his world fell apart. Instead of tears, he chose cold revenge. In a game of betrayal and intrigue, he uncovered her secrets and turned everything upside down. Legally, brilliantly, and ruthlessly. Is Emily ready for the consequences? Jake Collins was rinsing dishes in the sleek, modern kitchen of their Seattle home when his wife's phone lit up on the counter. The rain streaked down the floor-to-ceiling windows, blurring the view of Puget Sound, but the glow of the screen caught his eye. He glanced over, expecting a work email or a text from her sister. Instead, the preview read, "Tom, can't wait for tomorrow, babe." His hands froze under the warm water, suds dripping onto the tile floor. Babe? Who the hell was Tom? Jake, 35, was an architect with a sharp mind and a steady hand, traits that had earned him a reputation for designing eco-friendly homes that dotted Seattle's skyline. His wife, Emily, 32, was a rising star in marketing, her charm and ambition landing her a cushy job at a downtown firm. They'd been married 5 years, a power couple in their circle, him with his quiet intensity, her with her dazzling smile. But that text punched a hole through the image he'd built of their life. He dried his hands on a dish towel, his pulse quickening. Emily was in the living room, curled up with a glass of Pinot, scrolling through her tablet. "Everything okay, hon?" she called, her voice light, oblivious. Jake forced a smile, the kind he used with difficult clients. "Yeah, just finishing up," he replied, sliding her phone closer. The lock screen hid the full message, but that single line burned into his brain. He didn't confront her, not yet. Jake wasn't the type to explode. He calculated, observed, planned. If something was off, he'd find out. Quietly. The next morning, Emily left for work with a peck on his cheek, her perfume lingering as she grabbed her umbrella and dashed into the drizzle. Jake waited until her car disappeared down the street before dialing a number he'd never thought he'd need. "Mike, it's Jake Collins. I need a favor," he said, voice low. Mike was a private investigator, an old college buddy, who owed him one after Jake designed his office pro bono. Discreetly. "No questions. Can you tail someone for me?" By noon, Mike texted, "Got eyes on her." "Where's she headed?" Jake replied, "Her office, supposedly. Let me know if that changes." He spent the day at his drafting table, sketching a new project, but his mind kept drifting to that word, babe. Emily had mentioned to Tom before, a coworker, her boss maybe. "He's great to work with," she'd said once, casual as anything. Jake hadn't thought twice. Now, every memory felt like a clue he'd missed. Mike's first report came that evening. A grainy photo of Emily laughing over coffee with a tall guy in a suit, their heads bent close. The caption read, "Tom Parker, her VP. Not a work meeting, too cozy." Jake stared at the image, his jaw tightening. Cozy didn't cover it. Her hand rested on Tom's arm, her smile wider than he'd seen in months. The second photo hit harder, them slipping into a hotel lobby, her fingers brushing his as they stepped into the elevator. He poured a whiskey, the amber liquid trembling in the glass. 5 years of marriage, late nights building their dream home, her cheering at his award ceremonies. Had it all been a lie? He scrolled through Mike's notes. Pattern suggests ongoing affair. Hotel's a regular spot. Jake's stomach churned, but anger didn't take over. Not yet. Instead, a cold resolve settled in. If Emily was playing him, he'd play smarter. He dug deeper that night, logging into their shared bank account. Small charges jumped out. Lunches, a boutique hotel, a lingerie shop she'd never mentioned. Subtle, but damning. Then he found an email draft she hadn't sent, buried in her laptop's trash. "Tom, I'll tell him soon. The house is in both our names, but I'll figure it out. Love you." The house. Their house. She wasn't just cheating. She was planning to leave him and take everything he'd poured his soul into. Jake leaned back in his chair, the city lights flickering through the rain. Confronting her would be easy, scream, fight, watch her lie. But that wasn't his style. He'd built his career on precision, turning chaos into structure. This would be no different. Emily thought she had the upper hand, that he was the trusting fool who'd never suspect. She was wrong. He texted Mike, "Keep digging. I need everything. Dates, places, plans." Then he poured another whiskey, the ice clinking softly. Tomorrow, he'd start building his counterattack, not with fists or tears, but with something sharper, strategy. Emily had no idea what was coming. Jake Collins woke to the sound of rain tapping the bedroom window, the gray Seattle dawn mirroring the storm brewing inside him. Emily was already gone, her side of the bed cold, a note on the counter saying, "Early meeting, see you tonight," with a heart doodled beside it. The heart felt like a taunt now. He crumpled the paper, tossing it into the trash as his phone buzzed. Mike, the PI, had sent an update. "She's at the office. Tom's there too. I'll stick around." Jake nodded to himself. Good. He needed more than photos. He needed a map of her betrayal. By mid-morning, he sat in his home office, blueprints spread across the desk, but his focus was elsewhere. Mike's next message came at 11:47. They left together. Headed to a spot called the Driftwood Boutique Hotel, 20 minutes from her office. Jake's fingers tightened around his coffee mug. The Driftwood. Same place as yesterday's photos. He pulled up their bank records again, cross-referencing dates. Sure enough, 3 charges from the Driftwood in the past month, all masked as business expenses on her company card. Clever, but not clever enough. He called Mike. "What else you got?" His voice was steady, but his chest felt like it was caving in. "They're regulars," Mike replied, his tone matter-of-fact. "Staff knows them. Bellhop said they've been coming for 6 months, always midweek. She checks in under her maiden name, Harper. Tom leaves first, she follows an hour later. 6 months. Half a year of lies while Jake worked late, sketching homes for clients, thinking they were building a future. Anything solid?" He pressed. "Working on it," Mike said. "Got a lead on Tom's end. Might have something by tomorrow." Jake hung up and paced the room, the hardwood creaking under his boots. 6 months meant this wasn't a fling, it was a plan. That unsent email gnawed at him. I'll tell him soon. The house, she wasn't just cheating. She was plotting an exit, one that left him broke and blindsided. He needed to know how far it went. He grabbed his laptop and logged into her cloud account. Her password, Jake Loves Me 22, hadn't changed since their honeymoon. The irony stung as he scrolled through deleted files. Then he found it, a scanned document titled Divorce Attorney Consultation Notes, dated 2 weeks ago. His breath caught. The notes were clinical, devastating. Community property state, house split 50-50 unless contested. Prenup non-existent. Suggest filing first for advantage. Emily had met with a lawyer, plotting to claim half his assets, the house he designed, the savings he built. Worse, a handwritten note in the margin read, "Tom says wait till bonus season, more leverage." Leverage. She was stalling, milking their marriage for every dime while she and Tom laughed behind his back. Mike's next text came that afternoon. Big fish. Tom Parker's married. Wife Sarah Parker, hotshot lawyer. They've got 2 kids. Jake's eyes narrowed. A married man with a family, Emily wasn't just a mistress. She was part of a double deception. He fired back, dig into Sarah. Discreetly. If Tom had secrets, so might his wife. Jake wasn't above flipping the board to see what fell out. That evening, Emily breezed through the door, her hair damp from the rain, her smile practiced. "Hey, babe. Crazy day, client pitch ran late." She kicked off her heels, oblivious to the storm in Jake's eyes. "Yeah," he said, leaning against the counter, arms crossed. "How'd it go?" She shrugged, pouring wine. "Fine. Tom nailed it, as usual." The name dropped like a stone. Jake forced a nod, his mind racing. Good for Tom. Over dinner, takeout Thai she'd picked up, he watched her chatter about work, her lies weaving effortlessly into the conversation. Every laugh, every casual touch on his arm felt like a rehearsal for the knife she'd plunge later. But he played along, the perfect husband. While Mike's final report of the day hit his inbox, hotel staff slipped. Emily's been asking about long-term stays. Tom's footing the bill. Also, Sarah's clueless, spotted her at a school event tonight, all smiles. Jake excused himself to the bathroom, locking the door to read in peace. Long-term stays. She wasn't just leaving, she was setting up a new life, bankrolled by her lover. The house was her prize, a bargaining chip to trade when she filed. He splashed water on his face, staring at his reflection. The man looking back wasn't the trusting fool she'd counted on. He was an architect, someone who built things, and when necessary, tore them down. Back at the table, Emily yawned, stretching dramatically. "I'm beat. Early night?" He nodded, following her upstairs, but sleep wasn't on his mind. As she drifted off beside him, he lay awake, plotting. Mike's last text buzzed at midnight. Found an email, Tom to Emily. "File after my promotion. We'll celebrate in style. Promotion's next month." Jake's jaw clenched. A timeline. They were waiting for Tom's big payout to seal the deal. He slipped out of bed, grabbed his phone, and stepped onto the balcony, the rain soaking his shirt. "Mike," he whispered into the call, "give me everything on that promotion and Sarah's contacts. This ends on my terms." The city lights blurred below, but his vision was crystal clear. Emily thought she'd outsmarted him. She was about to learn how wrong she was. Jake Collins stood in his home office, the Seattle skyline a muted gray through the rain-streaked window. It was Saturday, and Emily was out, supposedly at a team brunch with Tom. Jake knew better. Mike's latest report confirmed they were at the Driftwood again, tangled in their affair while he pieced together his counterstrike. The divorce notes, the hotel stays, Tom's promotion timeline. It all pointed to a calculated betrayal. But Jake wasn't the type to crumble. He built things. And now, he'd build her downfall. His first move came Monday morning. He met with his lawyer, Rachel Kim, a sharp woman who'd handled his firm's contracts for years. "I need to protect the house," he said, sliding the attorney consultation notes across her desk. Rachel skimmed them, her brows lifting. "She's playing dirty. Washington's a community property state. No prenup means she could claim half, especially if she files first." Jake leaned forward. "Can I stop her?" Rachel smirked. "Oh, we can do better than stop her. Ever heard of a charitable trust?" By noon, Jake had set up the Future of Seattle Fund, a nonprofit tied to his architectural passion, sustainable housing for underserved communities. With Rachel's guidance, he transferred the house deed to the trust, keeping it in his control as trustee. Legally, it was no longer marital property. Emily couldn't touch it. "She'll be pissed," Rachel warned, signing the papers. "Good," Jake replied, his voice cold. "Let her try." Next, he turned to Tom. Mike's digging had struck gold. Tom's promotion to senior VP was slated for the company's annual gala in 2 weeks, a black tie event at the Fairmont Hotel. Emily's email hinted they'd celebrate by blindsiding Jake with divorce papers right after. But Mike had more. Sarah Parker's a powerhouse, top divorce attorney, no clue about the affair. "I've got her office number." Jake's mind raced. Sarah could be the dynamite to blow this wide open, if he played it right. He spent the next week laying groundwork. Mike tailed Emily and Tom, amassing a dossier, photos, receipts, even a recorded call where Tom bragged about dumping the wife after the bonus. Jake kept up the charade at home, cooking dinner with Emily, laughing at her stories. "You're in a good mood," she said one night, sipping wine. "Just happy with you." He lied, watching her smile falter slightly. She didn't suspect a thing. The twist came Thursday. Mike called. Tom's wife got a tip, anonymous email with hotel pics. "She's livid, hired her own PI." Jake froze. He hadn't sent it, yet. Someone else had beaten him to it. "Who?" he demanded. "No clue," Mike said. "Maybe a hotel staffer? Point is, Sarah's on the warpath." Jake's plan shifted. He'd planned to leak the affair at the gala himself, but Sarah's fury could amplify the chaos. He dialed her office, posing as a client, and left a cryptic voicemail. "Check your husband's expenses. The Driftwood's a start." The gala night arrived, and Jake RSVP'd as Emily's +1, insisting they go together. She hesitated, then agreed, her eyes flickering with unease. Dressed in a tailored suit, he walked into the Fairmont beside her, her red gown clinging to her like a warning. Tom was there, schmoozing execs, his smirk smug as ever. The room buzzed with corporate chatter, chandeliers glinting overhead. Jake bided his time, sipping a bourbon, until the moment hit. Tom took the stage for his promotion toast. "To teamwork and new beginnings," he said, raising a glass. That's when Sarah stormed in, heels clicking like gunfire. She clutched a manila folder, her face a mask of rage. "New beginnings," she shouted, slamming the folder on the head table. Photos spilled out, Tom and Emily, unmistakable. The crowd gasped. "You've been screwing my husband?" Sarah spat, turning to Emily, who went white. Tom stammered, "Sarah, but she cut him off. "Save it. I'm filing tomorrow." Jake stepped forward, voice calm but cutting. "Oh, and Emily? That house you wanted? It's gone. Donated to a charity I run. You get nothing." Her jaw dropped, eyes darting between him and the stunned guests. What are you talking about?" she hissed. He smiled, ice in his gaze. "You thought you'd play me. Checkmate." The room erupted, whispers, camera clicks, execs distancing themselves from Tom. Sarah glared at Jake. "You sent the tip?" He shrugged. Does it matter? Emily grabbed his arm, desperate. Jake, we can talk. He pulled free. Talk to your lawyer. I'm done. He walked out, leaving her stranded in the wreckage. Outside, the rain had stopped, the city air sharp and clean. Sarah's outburst had been the perfect chaos. He hadn't even needed to pull the trigger. But he wasn't done. The house was safe, Emily was exposed, and Tom's career hung by a thread. Jake's real revenge was just beginning. Jake Collins woke to sunlight slicing through his new apartment's blinds, the Puget Sound shimmering beyond the glass. It was the morning after the gala, and the Fairmont's chaos still echoed in his mind. Sarah's fury, Emily's panic, Tom's career imploding. His phone buzzed with notifications, texts from friends, a clipped voicemail from Emily. We need to talk, now, and a news alert. XX Affair rocks marketing firm gala. Jake smirked, sipping his coffee. The board was flipped, pieces scattered. Now he'd watch them fall. Emily's world unraveled fast. By noon, Mike reported she'd been suspended from her job, pending an ethics review after Sarah's public blowout. Her LinkedIn profile, once polished with buzzwords like visionary and team leader, went dark. Jake didn't gloat, but the irony wasn't lost on him. She'd banked on Tom's promotion to catapult her exit, but instead, she'd torched her own career. He'd made sure the house was untouchable, and her leverage was gone. Checkmate felt good. Tom didn't fare better. Mike's insider at the firm texted, board's pissed. Promotion's off, might fire him too. Sarah's already lawyered up. Jake had expected as much. Sarah Parker wasn't just a scorned wife. She was a legal shark, and Tom had handed her the harpoon. The photos, the receipts, the recorded call Mike had snagged, it was all in her hands now. Jake hadn't needed to lift a finger beyond that voicemail nudge. Tom's arrogance did the rest. Back at the apartment, Jake sorted through mail, bills, a thank you note from the Future of Seattle Fund. The house sale was in motion, listed through the trust. He'd priced it fair, and a buyer, a young family, had bitten fast. The proceeds, $500,000 after fees, would fund affordable housing projects he'd dreamed of designing. Emily's dream of cashing out was dust, replaced by his vision of something bigger. He signed escrow papers, the pen steady in his hand. No regrets. Emily showed up that afternoon, unannounced, banging on his door. Jake, let me in. Her voice cracked, mascara streaking her cheeks. He opened it, leaning against the frame, arms crossed. She looked smaller without her polished veneer, hair messy, eyes red. You ruined me, she spat, clutching her purse. You didn't have to humiliate me like that. He raised a brow. Humiliate you? You were screwing your boss for 6 months, planning to take my house. I just leveled the field. She flinched, then rallied. I made a mistake, okay? Tom pushed me into it. He said we'd. Jake cut her off. Spare me. You wrote the divorce notes. You picked him. Her lip trembled. I was going to tell you after his bonus. We could have split clean. He laughed, sharp and hollow. Clean? You wanted half my life as a consolation prize. It's over, Emily. Go. She stood there, stunned, then stormed off, heels clicking down the hall. He shut the door, the silence a relief. By evening, the fallout spread. Sarah filed for divorce, citing infidelity. Papers served to Tom at his office, per Mike's tip. The firm axed him that night, a press release citing personal conduct violations. Jake scrolled X, where industry chatter buzzed. Parker's done. Cheated on a lawyer wife with a coworker. Rookie move. Emily's name popped up too, a punching bag for snarky comments. Jake didn't pile on. He'd won without needing to gloat. The house closed escrow the next day. Jake wired the funds to the trust, then met Rachel for lunch to wrap loose ends. She can still sue, Rachel warned, slicing into her salmon. But with no assets in play and her job gone, she's got no legs. Jake nodded. Let her try? I'm done fighting. Rachel grinned. Smart move with the trust. Poetic, even. He shrugged. Just practical. That night, he walked the waterfront, the air crisp with salt and freedom. His phone buzzed. Emily again, a text. I'm sorry. Can we fix this? He stared at it, then deleted it. Sorry didn't erase 6 months of lies or the divorce draft she'd hidden. He'd trusted her once, built a life with her. She'd gambled it away for a sleazy VP and a fantasy of power. Now, she'd live with the ashes. A week later, the trust's first project broke ground. A small housing complex for single parents. Jake stood at the site, hard hat on, watching concrete pour. A reporter snapped photos, asking, "What inspired this?" He paused, then said, "Sometimes you lose something to build something better." The words felt true. Emily and Tom were footnotes now. Their schemes collapsed under their own weight. Jake's future was his to shape, solid, unyielding, and entirely his own. Jake Collins adjusted his tie in the mirror of his new office, a sleek space overlooking Seattle's bustling downtown. It was a year since the gala implosion, and the city had moved on, mostly. The rain still fell in sheets outside, but inside, his world was steady. The Future of Seattle Fund had launched 3 housing projects, his architectural firm was thriving, and the sting of Emily's betrayal had faded to a dull memory. Tonight, he'd celebrate that shift at the Compass, a waterfront restaurant, with a glass of bourbon and a clear conscience. The past year had been a reckoning. Emily's spiral played out in fragments Mike relayed. After her suspension became a firing, she'd bounced between temp gigs, her resume tainted by the scandal. Tom's exit was uglier, Sarah's divorce stripped him of half his assets, and his career tanked. Last Jake heard, he was cooking for a dive bar in Tacoma, a far cry from corporate suites. Their affair, once a glittering escape, had left them both in the gutter. Jake didn't revel in it. He'd wanted justice, not ruin, but the symmetry felt right. He'd sold the house through the trust months ago, the $500,000 fueling homes for families who'd never know his story. The young couple who bought it sent him a card at Christmas, a photo of their toddler in the yard he'd designed. It sat on his desk now, a quiet reminder of what he'd turned loss into. Emily had texted him once after the sale, a bitter, "You didn't have to take everything," as if she hadn't tried the same. He hadn't replied. Silence was his answer. At the Compass, Jake settled into a corner booth, the harbor lights flickering through the glass. He was meeting his team, designers, engineers, friends who'd rallied around him when the dust settled. They'd landed a city contract that morning, a capstone to a year of grit. As he sipped his drink, a familiar figure caught his eye near the bar. Emily. She stood alone, hair pulled back, a glass of wine trembling in her hand. She looked thinner, her confidence replaced by something fragile. Their eyes met. She hesitated, then walked over, her steps unsteady. "Jake," she said, voice soft. "Can I sit?" He nodded, curious despite himself. She slid into the booth, staring at her glass. "I saw your name in the paper, those housing projects." "Impressive." He waited, sensing more. "I messed up," she continued, eyes flicking up. "Tom was a mistake. I thought he'd. I don't know. Fix everything. I was wrong about you too." Her words hung there, heavy with regret. Jake leaned back, studying her. "You chose, Emily. I didn't make you lie or plan to take the house." She winced. "I know. Can we talk? Maybe start over?" He shook his head, firm but calm. "No. You don't get to rewrite this. I've moved on." Her face crumpled, but she nodded, standing. "Good luck, Jake. You deserve it." She left, her silhouette fading into the crowd. He felt no anger, just closure. His team arrived minutes later, their laughter filling the booth. To Jake, his lead designer toasted, raising a glass. The guy who turns blueprints into legacies. They clinked, and Jake smiled, the weight of the past lifting. Later, as they ate grilled salmon, crisp greens, he glanced at the bar. A man approached Emily's old spot, slick in a suit, chatting up a woman dripping in jewelry. Jake froze. Tom. Older, rougher, but unmistakable, working a new mark. He almost laughed. Tom hadn't changed, still chasing wealth, still blind to the cost. The woman, mid-50s with a diamond-crusted watch, seemed charmed. Jake caught Tom's eye for a split second. Recognition flashed, then panic. Tom turned away, doubling down on his pitch. Jake shook his head, refocusing on his friends. Let him dig his own grave. The night ended with a walk along the pier, the air sharp with salt. His phone buzzed, a text from Rachel. Emily dropped any claim. "Trust safe. You're free." He pocketed it, breathing deep. Free. The word fit. He'd lost a marriage, a house, a version of himself, but gained something solid. Purpose. The projects, the firm, the life he built weren't tethered to anyone's betrayal. They were his. A year ago, he'd been a man blindsided, plodding in the dark. Now he stood taller, unshaken. Emily's apology, Tom's desperation, they were echoes, not anchors. He tossed a pebble into the sound, watching ripples spread. To choices, he murmured, echoing a toast he'd made with his team. His choice had been to rise, not sink. As he headed home, The city glowed behind him, a canvas he'd reshaped, one deliberate stroke at a time.